On the topic, who is Krishna? I didn't finish it, and actually we could never really finish it, could we? Because discussing who is Krishna, there's no end to his glories. But anyway, I want to finish it. Finish the discussion as I was doing it. Means that if we ask different people, they'll give different answers. So I went through some prominent persons, devotees and non-devotees, and what would be their reply if you asked them, who is Krishna? Who is Krishna? So we don't really want to hear what the demons say, but anyway, we went through all that because we have to hear so many horrible things, and unfortunately in this material world what the demoniac people say about Krishna, so we should be prepared to rebut that. And in Ljubljana on Janmashtami evening, I got as far as discussing Arjuna and Krishna. So, I'll continue. I'm not going through everyone, not Nakul and Sahadev. There are unlimited devotees also, so just taking some prominent ones and continuing like that. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Adhapagalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sangrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Purijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishlakam Vitamscha. What's that background music? Someone's cell phone?
No,
Hmm?
no, sorry.
Was it a cell phone?
It's Ramayana.
Recording. Well, we're having a Srimad Bhagavatam discussion here. I was just listening to a lecture by H.H.Bhakti Vikasa Swami. Someone's cell phone went off in the middle and he said, "You're lucky I don't have a revolver, otherwise I'd shoot you." You know, H.H.Bhakti. Extreme. Of course he said it laughing, but he might have. Anyway, we'll now proceed to Dwaraka. There's so many great devotees of Krishna in Dwaraka. How many devotees of Krishna were there in Dwaraka?
Unlimited.
Unlimited. Yeah. If we see that King Nagnajit, who was the father of Nagnajiti, as part of his dowry to Krishna, he gave so many, if you see so many servants and maidservants, if you calculate it, it's 10 times this, he gave so many horses and 10 times more this and 10 times, and if you see the number of servants and maidservants, it's actually more than the present population of the world. They were all in Dwaraka. They were just in one palace, actually. They were just in Nagnajiti's palace. So, presumably they were all devotees. Must have been devotees. They're all great devotees of Krishna, who they know as Dwarkadhish. Who's been to Dwaraka? None of you don't go to Dwaraka. You're real Vrindavan devotees. Huh? In Vrindavan they say, don't go to Dwaraka. if you go there, your bhakti will be spoiled. That's what some people in Vrindavan say that. You'll lose your Vraja Bhav. Nityananda Prabhu went there, so we have a good precedent. Nityananda Balaram went to Dwarka. So Krishna was living there in Dwarka, and he's known as Dwarkadhish. By many names also. They also call him Govinda, Shyamasundar, Madhava. So many names that are known of Krishna in other places also. And they know about Krishna in Vrindavan. They know about that. He was also a cowherd boy, but they don't really know very much about it, and they can't relate to it much. Now, in Vrindavan, Krishna is known as Radha Krishna, Radha's Krishna. When we say Radha Krishna, it means Radha's Krishna. Actually, that's one way of understanding. Sri Krishna means the same thing. Sri means Radha, so Radha's Krishna. But in Dwarka, it's not exactly the same. Krishna, he's also Rukmini Raman, Rukminish, the Lord of Rukmini. But in Vrindavan, everything's centered around Radha and Krishna Lila. Everyone serves Radha and Krishna Lila. But it's not exactly the same in Dwarka. There are so many queens, 16,108 queens, of whom Rukmini is the chief, according to some. Satyabhama doesn't agree. But officially, Rukmini is the chief. She's number one. First one that got married. And who's the second? Krishna's second queen? In order of getting them, generally people say Satyabhama because she's the most famous, but chronologically the second was Jambavati. She came at the same time as Satyabhama, but just a little before, because Jambavan gave Jambavati along with the Samantaka jewel, and then when they went back to Dwarka, then Satrajit gave Satyabhama also. But Satyabhama is more famous. She's a hot-headed lady. So they know Krishna more as Yadupati. He's the master of all of them. Of course, that name could also be given to any of the kings of the Yadu dynasty. But Krishna's name is Yadupati. They all feel very confident in their relationship with him. Hare Krishna. It's a relaxed feeling. They all feel very secure in relationship with Krishna. Although sometimes there are severe disturbances. At least one time when Shalva attacked Dwarka, there were severe disturbances at that time. But then after that everything became quite peaceful. That was quite early in Krishna's Lila. That same time of the Shalva attack, that was the same time that the dice match was going on, in which the Pandavas were banished to the forest, because Krishna came after that and said, I would have come and interfered, I would have killed Duryodhana, right? But I was busy with this Shalva, I had to look after him, send him to hell, or whatever. So after that, the life in Dwarka was very relaxed and everyone very happy in Krishna's service. And the same mood is still there in Dwarka today, although it's not Dwarka in the sea, but it's Dwarka on the edge of the sea. And still the devotees, devotee means everyone living there. they're all very relaxed, no problem. Krishna's looking after us. They have that feeling. Nothing can go wrong. Very pleasant mood in the service of Krishna. Actually, nothing can go wrong in Dwarka. Nothing goes wrong. Sometimes there's drought, shortage of water, but just like there was a terrible earthquake in Gujarat. When was that? About 19 what? Can't even remember the year. About 12 years ago, 15 years ago, something like that. So that whole area all around was devastated, but Dwarka, nothing. And going further back, nothing. Not even a single house fell down. Nothing. No problem at all. Just maybe there was a little trembling. That's all. And then during the last full-scale Pakistan-India war, then because Dwarka is very close to Pakistan, it's just opposite Karachi. So a ship, a Pakistani warship came and just faced Dwarka and fired a rocket. It went right over Dwarka and landed. They missed all the time, and they had a clear shot. They just completely missed. And it didn't even explode, even when it landed. So like that, that's what I was told in Dwarka, that by the grace of Dwarkadhish, we're always protected. There's no problem here. And people live opulently. They lead an opulent life. You'll see the pujaris. What they do, the big flags are offered on the top of the temple. There'll be something like this, except a lot bigger. And then when someone brings a new flag, then they pull the old flag down. The flag may be up for a few days or a few hours. But whenever someone brings a new one, then they take this one. And they make that cloth into dhotis and the bagal bandis. You know this? You tie up this shirt, you tie it up like this. For the pujaris. So they're dressed in cloth like this kind of color and shiny, satin, something like that. It's probably made out of polyester. But, so they're all very regal and colorful, and they all eat nice food and live very comfortably and peacefully, and there's no problem by the grace of Krishna. So it's a different mood to Vrindavan. They're very comfortable in the service of Krishna, very happy in the service of Krishna. And of course, also in Vrindavan, very happy in the service of Krishna. But in Vrindavan, actually the first words I ever read in Prabhupada's books is the Krishna book, volume 2. It says, Prabhupada wrote that Vrindavan is such a nice place, but due to the influence of this material world, even, I'm paraphrasing now, there are so many disturbances, even in Vrindavan. So in Vrindavan there's so many disturbances, one after another, caused by various demons. So it's, apart from that, the whole Leela of Krishna is dangerous Leela. He's playing with the wives of others, so it's always, there's always an element of danger, and they're always nervous. And in that difficulty, they're running to Krishna. So there's a different mood altogether. Even when there's no demon directly attacking, they know that Kamsa is just down the road and he doesn't like us. So there's always the fear that Kamsa will send someone or come himself. So in Dwarka, very comfortable, and in Vrindavan, not very comfortable, but more intensely serving Krishna. That's why there's a saying among sadhus, Aram Haram. Aram means comfort, and Haram means very bad, abominable. So we have this saying, we should not be in the comfort zone. Don't live a very comfortable life. Comfortable living and advancement in Krishna consciousness don't go very well together. So we see that we can make a temple very comfortable and live very comfortably, but there's nothing wrong with living comfortably, but if we're simply interested in living comfortably and ringing the bell, and that's all, then we're not likely to advance in Krishna consciousness. What's the best place to make spiritual advancement? What do you think? More than in the temple is outside, on the streets. Of course we need to come to the temple also and chant Hare Krishna. But taking the difficulty of going outside and presenting Krishna consciousness among people who, if they ever read Krishna book, they might feel more empathy with Kamsa than with Krishna. I'm on Kamsa's side, not on Krishna's side. I saw one book you have here in German. They're still selling that one, The Art of Living. It has a picture on it. What is it? Picture of Krishna punching Kamsa to death. What's it called? The Something of Living? You didn't see that one? I was thinking, well, maybe that's what people relate to if they give me this is our spiritual advice. You catch someone on the street, throw them down, and punch them out. That's what Krishna does with the demons. So better be a devotee. Of course, even Kamsa was very fortunate. I mean, we might get beaten up by a skinhead, but we got beaten up by Krishna. So if you're going to get beaten up by anyone, better get beaten up by Krishna. But yeah, we don't like Kamsa. We're cheering Krishna. We're not cheering Kamsa. Some people were cheering Kamsa in the wrestling arena. Some were cheering him. When Shishupal got his head cut off at the Rajasuya, just before the Rajasuya Yagya, many kings who supported him, they just left quietly because they were afraid that they liked Shishupal. They would have been happy if Shishupal had done what he always said he would do, which he never did, which was to kill Krishna. They also had the same idea, but they left. So in, where are we then? Yeah, in Dwarka there are so many devotees, among who's considered the best devotee in Dwarka? Anyone?
Uddhav?
Uddhava is considered the best, yeah. Because that's stated that it was the great fortune of Uddhava that he became known as a madman. Sometimes he would go outside the city of Dwarka, up onto a big hill, and see the clouds, the monsoon clouds. And he would be lost in transcendental madness, babbling to the clouds about Krishna. So he became known as a madman. But that madness, that's just normal in Vrindavan. It's just everything, it's so intense. The love for Krishna is so intense. Of course, we can talk about it. To talk about it and to experience it is something else. It's not so easy just to jump in. That's the mistake of the Prakritisa Hajiyas. They think that we'll just jump in. Here we come. But it's not so easy. That requires zenith purity. But the love for Krishna is so intense that the natural elements, they lose their qualities. The stones melt, the Yamuna becomes frozen. Everything it's inconceivable. That's at the sound of Krishna's flute. So, in Vrindavan, I didn't mention Mathura because it's more or less the same mood as Dwarka, the same devotees. They're all in Mathura, and all of a sudden, boom, they're in Dwarka. What happened? They just got transported. So in Vrindavan, the great opulence that is there in Dwarka, it's more in Vrindavan than in Dwarka, but it's not noticed much, the great opulence, because the mood is very simple. And everyone in Vrindavan, they know Krishna as Yashodanandana. He is known as the son, the darling son of Yashoda. If we ask the Vrajavasis, who is Krishna? They all know him as Yashodanandana. It's Mother Yashoda. Everyone has great respect for her. Of course, he's also known as Nandanandana, Gokulananda, the son of Nanda Maharaj, and the giver of pleasure to everyone in Gokul. So there are many devotees in different rasas. Even the Shanta rasa in Vrindavan, they're also serving Krishna. The trees, they can move. They may move, and Krishna needs some shade, so the trees can move and give Krishna some shade. And the servants, we don't hear so much about the servants in Vrindavan, but especially the friends of Krishna, his parents, and apart from his parents in the Vatsalya rasa, or the mood of parental love, there are many devotees who are of the same age as Yashoda and Nanda who relate to Krishna in a parental way, parental mood. And of course the gopis. But they all know Krishna as the son of Mother Yashoda. Even the cows, you see, they're supposed to be in Shantaras, but they're all serving Krishna by giving their milk. And Krishna serves them by looking after them. So Krishna is known as Gopal, Govinda. He gives pleasure to the cows. Rakhal it's actually a well-known name. We don't hear it much, but at least in Bengal that name is well known. Rakhal means the protector, particularly of the cows. Now, Krishna has his pet names also, nicknames. Kana, Gokularanjana, Kana. So that's a nickname. Krishna becomes Kana. Or in Bengali they say Kanu, or Hindi Kanaya. Tamil, how many Tamils? No? They all come with the Kanan. But Kana is the common name, the nickname. Balaram becomes nickname for Balaram. Anyone? Balai? Radharani? Anyone? No. Rai. Just short like that. So it's a very intimate atmosphere. If you call someone by a nickname, it means it's a very, very intimate relationship, isn't it? You can't walk up to some big important person and call them by the nickname. At home, generally at home, in India even today, everyone has some nickname. They don't call by the official name. Usually one syllable or two syllables, something short like that. So, yeah, if we ask the different devotees, who is Krishna? Well, they'll say different things. Stoka Krishna, or any of the cowherd, but depends. Some of they try to think, yeah, you're my friend. He's, we look after him when he goes out to the forest, and he's just a little boy, so we look after him. Mother Yashoda likes us to keep an eye on him, because he thinks he's very strong, but actually it's we cowherd boys are looking after him. They think like that. If we ask Mother Yashoda, who is Krishna, she may think, what are you asking that for? Everyone knows who he is, but there's no point in asking who he is. he's not here now, so go and call him. Time to bring him from the pasturing room. He must be hungry. She's always thinking how to feed him. Even just after he's eaten, she's thinking how to feed him. She's always thinking he must be hungry. She's always thinking to cook more and more different items to please him. So that's a good mood for the temple servants, thinking how to please Krishna. We offer him a big meal in the morning. By midday he's already very hungry, so he needs another big meal. At night he's also hungry. Actually, we only feed him, how many times a day do you feed him here? 6 times?
7.
7 times, yeah. But he can go on practically non-stop, like in Puri. He just goes on eating all the time. Practically non-stop. And no small snacks for him. There's no snacks. He eats big meals. So like that, it's the parental devotees of Krishna. They're always thinking how to feed him. It's a main meditation. How to, all different and generally very luxurious items. Krishna's not a health food freak. He doesn't eat grass. What's that? They have grass roots. What's that called? Grass shoots? Green grass shoots? They make it a liquid or something. Anyway.
Wheatgrass.
Wheatgrass. Wheatgrass. You know, the cows eat that. Krishna, he takes food with lots of ghee, lots of sugar. Still that in Nathdwar, the Vallabh Sampradaya, who worship Krishna in the mood of opulence, the parental mood. So Nathdwar is very famous for prasadam, and they offer. Here we have a laddu this size, and there they have laddus literally this size. That's just one of the laddus, like small football. And full of ghee and cashews and lots of sugar, like this. So they feed Krishna very opulently. Because they think he's a growing young man. Prabhupada said that also at one time in Vrindavan, in ISKCON in Vrindavan. There was a somewhat of a dispute between the cooks and the temple authorities, because the cooks wanted to cook lots for Krishna, and the temple authorities said, we don't have so much money. So they asked Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, should cook for Krishna like a hungry young boy. And Prabhupada gave the standard, so minimum, so many puris, so many sabjis, like this. He's a hungry young boy, he's out playing, so he needs to be fed very nicely. So in Vrindavan there are the very famous devotees, but there are many other devotees, we don't even know them all. I mean, even a blade of grass in Vrindavan, we hear a lot about the gopis, but even a blade of grass in Vrindavan is experiencing such ecstasy, thinking that when will Krishna come and place his foot upon me? Krishna wanders all over the huge area of Vrindavan, and this way he favors all the different devotees, because everything there is conscious. The grass, the stones, the pebbles. So Krishna favors them all by going everywhere. And his flute can be heard throughout the Vrindavan area. And this way everyone is relating with Krishna. Particularly in Vrindavan, the gopis, they're very famous as great devotees of Krishna. So if we ask, who is Krishna? If we ask the gopis. Now, in one of the lectures about this, I previously said that some demons, modern demons, they blaspheme Krishna. They say he's immoral, he's a liar, he's a cheater. And such people, we shouldn't see their face. But if we ask the gopis, depends what mood they're in, they might say the same thing. So, who's right? If the demons say it, they're wrong. If the gopis say it, they're right. It's the same thing. But when the demons say it, they mean to vilify Krishna. And actually the gopis do also, but that's in their mood of intense love for Krishna, that they wish that he didn't cheat on them, he didn't lie to them, but it's all Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. It's all the blissful, spiritual, emotional tastes that the gopis, they also feel like that. But even though Krishna mistreats them, they say he mistreats them, and if we consider from it's very difficult for us to consider these topics at all, but if we consider from a neutral standpoint, there's no neutrality. But in this Leela, but yes, Krishna is not behaving very well with them. It seems like that. But of course, whatever Krishna does is simply to increase, with his, especially among his devotees, is to increase their love for him. But that behavior of Krishna with the gopis is so much relishable to them. It's very difficult to understand. He cheats on them, lies to them, mistreats them, but nevertheless, even though he is Lampata, not Prananathas to Saivanamra, he's always considered by them as the Lord of their life. Now, who is Krishna? Who should? We can ask various devotees and non-devotees, and they will give their idea. Here's a verse which is quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita. That who should we ask? Who can say the best? Who can describe the glories of Krishna the best? So this verse is from the Adi Purana. Krishna says, Man mahatmyam mat sapatnyam mat shraddham manmayo gatam jananti gopikah partha jnane jananti tattvataha. Krishna says, who knows about me? We may ask so many different people, but Krishna says, who knows about me? My glories, my service, faith in me, my intentions, what's in my mind. Who knows? Krishna tells Partha, Arjuna. The gopis know. They know me better than anyone. No one else knows about all these subjects. Only they know. So does that mean that everyone in Mathura, Dwaraka, and no one else knows? Well, in one sense, yes, because Krishna, he manifests in various forms, but his original form, Vrindavan, we say this, original form, although there's no difference between his original form and any other form. There's no difference, in one sense, between Krishna in Vrindavan, Krishna outside Vrindavan, Krishna as Nrsimha, as Varaha, as Vamana, they're all the same Supreme Person. They're not different people. But Krishna says, who knows me? They know my very mind and my very intentions. That is the gopis of Vrindavan. So, very elevated topics, no doubt. But especially in the Sampradaya of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is the worshipable object. Aradhyo Bhagavan Rajesha Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachid Upasanam Raja Radhu Gargena Yakalpita. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings is that God is worshipable. Alright, well, everyone says that, right? Aradho Bhagavan, the Supreme Person of Bhagavan, he is to be worshipped. But particularly, who is that Supreme Person? Brajesh Tanaya, the son of the king of Vrindavan, Krishna. And just to make it more clear, Tadhama Vrindavanam. His dham is Vrindavan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's especially interested in worshipping Krishna in Vrindavan. And Ramya Kachit Upasana Braju Vadhu Vagena Yakalpita. And the best way of worship of Krishna is that of the gopis of Vrindavan. So this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. Bhakti, yes. So Vrindavan means Tadhama Vrindavan. That Krishna's dham is Vrindavan. His abode is Vrindavan. But generally we hear Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, isn't it? We don't hear very much Vrindavaneshwara Krishna. We hear Radhe Vrindavaneshwari. Vrindavananatha, that name is there. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions that those who in Brahma Muhurta chant this Gurvashtaka. Sa eva Vrindavananatha sakshat sevaiva labhyo janatoshta eka. He says that those who Srimad Gurvashtakam etat uchai Brahme Muhurte patati prayatnat. Those who carefully and loudly recite Gurvashtaka in the Brahma Muhurta, then when they leave their body, they go directly to serve Vrindavananath. So the name is there. But generally we hear Vrindavaneshwari. That the queen of Vrindavan is Radha. We don't hear so much about the king of Vrindavan. And when we hear the king of Vrindavan, generally that's thought Nanda Maharaj. And Krishna is Brajesha Tanaya, the son of the king of Vrindavan. So, it's Radha's Vrindavan. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says that. Radha Padam Ketadham Taranam Vrindavan. He defines Vrindavan as the place which is marked with the lotus footprints of, generally we think Vrindavan is marked by the footprints of Krishna, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he defines as marked by the footprints of Radha. So, Radha, and then Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he also sings. He gives different moods at different times. That's why it can be confusing. Sometimes he says that we should respect everyone's different modes of worship. We shouldn't criticize them. In another place he says, he gives a summation of the philosophy of Christianity, that God came as a human being, then he was killed, and if you believe in him, you go to heaven, otherwise you burn in hell forever. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that no intelligent person can accept such a philosophy. So he said different things at different times. So, but in one song in which he's expressing his own inner feelings, he says that anyone who thinks to worship Madhava, which means the husband of the goddess of fortune, without Radha, he says they are agyani. They don't know what they're doing, and they're puffed up. He says that just like you can't imagine the sun without heat, so in the same way, there's no Krishna without Radha. So this is the advanced devotees in Gauriya line. They know that Krishna means Krishna with Radha. So it's a very extremely exalted topic, and one which even many great devotees don't have access to. So we shouldn't think that it's a very cheap thing that we can very quickly jump into. But if we are to discuss who is Krishna, coming in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we should know ultimately he is Radha Krishna, which means Radha's Krishna, Shakti Shaktiman. Krishna is the possessor of all energies, and his internal energy, or his direct counterpart, the female form of God, or the female form who is inseparable from him, is Radha. And how great is she? How great is her love for Krishna? That we cannot describe. Even Krishna himself, he comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to experience what is that. So once there was a discussion in Calcutta, two of Prabhupada's disciples were discussing who is greater, Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then they couldn't work it out. They were arguing back and forth. So they went to Prabhupada's room, just there. And I don't think they have that now, but at that time there was a picture of, just behind Prabhupada's sitting place, there's a picture of Radha and Krishna, a local painting. So they asked, they both put forward their propositions. One says Krishna is great, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a devotee of him, and the other said, no, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is great because he's the most merciful. Then Prabhupada pointed to Radha. He said, she's the greatest. Not Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because Krishna comes to experience what is her mood. So she is the greatest. We're the ultimate feminists. Not mundane, not mundane feminists. Women, they should follow the example of Sita, not Radha. That's for Radha. And men, just as men shouldn't try to behave like Krishna in Vrindavan, they should try to be like Rama. So the women also, they should try to be like Sita, not like Radha. Sita Ram. Ram is Maryada Purushottam. Maryada means proper behavior. So he comes to establish that. Krishna is Leela Purushottam. He acts in his own Leela as he desires. We cannot imitate that. If we imitate that, then we go to hell. So Krishna, fascinated by the love of Radha for himself, comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and gives love of Krishna. He's simultaneously tasting love of Krishna and distributing that. So these are all very exalted topics. I'm sure there are many who can explain these much better than I can. How should we know Krishna? What can we know about Krishna? Should we worship Radha's Krishna or Rukmini's Krishna? What do you think? Well, as Prabhupada once said, I don't know Krishna, I only know my Guru Maharaj. And as far as I'm concerned, probably most of us, to say I know Krishna, it's a very bold saying, as Brahma said. I don't know. Jananta eva janantu kimbam cha chame prabho manasa vachasa bhapo vaibhavam tavagocharaha. Brahma said, I don't know Krishna. Some people may say they know him, but I don't know him. Even by mind, body, words, to understand Krishna's glories is impossible for me. So we know Prabhupada. We didn't know anything about Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada only came to teach about Krishna. He gave us Krishna. Krishna Shri Toma, Krishna Dite Karo, Tomara Shakatiyate. He can give us Krishna. There's a well-known anecdote of this Saraswati, the daughter of Shyamasundara and Malati. They were traveling with Prabhupada in India. A little girl was there, Saraswati. She had a little statuette of Krishna. And while she wasn't looking, Prabhupada stole it. And then she came and said, where's my Krishna? Where's Krishna? And all the devotees said, where's Krishna? Where's Krishna? You better look for Krishna. So she was looking, where's Krishna? Where's Krishna? Where's Krishna? She was in anxiety. She was going to everyone. Where's Krishna? Where's Krishna? Do you have Krishna? And then her father, Shyamasundar, said, Saraswati, where is Krishna? Who has got Krishna? Who is giving Krishna? Then she understood. She went to Prabhupada and said, you have Krishna. Prabhupada gave the deity. So like this. Prabhupada is giving Krishna. So there are many great devotees, no doubt. But by the grace of Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have come, or trying to come, to Krishna through the medium of Srila Prabhupada. And we should worship Krishna and try to serve Krishna in the way that Srila Prabhupada has given us Krishna. Who is Krishna? Well, for Prabhupada, Krishna is Radha Govinda. He worshipped in childhood Radha Govinda and Jagannath. Later, he installed so many deities all over the world. Srila Prabhupada, so many deities. Radha Gokulananda and Radha Ganadishwara and Radha Parisishwara were installed directly by Prabhupada in Europe. These three Radha Krishna deities. Radha Madhava in Mayapur. Who's been to Mayapur? Nobody in there? You lived there for so many years. Who else has been there? So many devotees. So you remember Radha Madhava, right? Very big deities, aren't they? Have you seen? You've seen Krishna. Radha Madhava. But Radha Madhava installed by Prabhupada, about this, Krishna is about this high. Have you seen also? He said later, big ones, but this Radha Madhava that Prabhupada installed. Actually, from our big, small, Krishna is the biggest of the big and the smallest of the small. So if we say Radha Madhava very big, well, how big can Krishna? Krishna is the Vishvarup. How big is that? Prabhupada said that Krishna kindly comes in the deity form so that we can deal with him. Because you have to dress the deities. If you have to dress the Vishvarup, all the cloth factories in the world will be finished. So Krishna comes in such a form. Prabhupada said, very good. He comes in a form that just the right size that we can deal with him. So Prabhupada installed Radha Madhava, and he had the vision of how people would come all over the world for darshan of Radha Madhava. Now at that time, the temple in Mayapur, it's not exactly the same temple that we have now. Now they have, half of it is filled up with an exhibition. But it was different shape altogether. The Radha Madhava, they were facing toward the Ganga. Now they're facing toward the Yogapith. So there was a different design. They built up on the present temple, but then the temple was facing this way, and then they made it face this way. It's a little difficult to explain. Anyway, at one end of the temple was Radha Madhava, and at the other end was Prabhupada's Vyasa. It was quite a long distance, maybe 3 times the length of this room. And if you take the whole wall to wall, maybe about 3 times. And then Radha Madhava here, and Prabhupada way back over there. So devotees said that, well, Prabhupada, maybe we should move your Vyasa a little closer, because you're so far away, you can't see Radha Madhava. Prabhupada said, there's no question of separation between me and Krishna. That was Prabhupada's response. So Prabhupada installed so many deities, so many Gauritai deities for Radha Damodar Vas. Many of the deities that were installed during Prabhupada's personal presence, they weren't personally installed by him. He wasn't personally present, but it was considered. Radha Madan Mohan in Germany, Hansa Duda, he arranged for it. And then here in Zürich, it was Gauritai. I think Jagannath came later after Prabhupada. And not this Gauritai. This Gauritai were here at that time during Prabhupada's?
Yeah, 74.
These neem forms of the Lord? Was it? That time we didn't have many neem deities. In Calcutta we had Radha Govinda with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I'm just trying to think of deities Prabhupada. So Radha Govinda, then Rukmini Dwarkadish. First of all, Prabhupada installed Rukmini Dwarkanath, the small deities, and later the bigger deities. But he always referred to them as Radha Krishna. And Krishna with the flute, which you don't find Dwarkadish playing the flute. So, let me see, I don't know. In Gopinath, Radha Gopinath in Sydney. The Radha Gopinath in Radhadesh, that also, I believe, shortly after, they were installed. First of all in Amsterdam, I believe. I had darshan of them in Amsterdam in January 1980. Then, so many days. Giridhari in San Diego, I believe also that were installed there. During Prabhupada's presence, but I'm not sure if Prabhupada personally installed them. Jagannath in San Francisco. So like this I don't know them all. Mostly in America. Mostly in America. Prabhupada installed Radha Krishna deities in Japan, who are not there anymore. They're somewhere in Vrindavan. Anyway, if we are Krishna Balaram, Prabhupada installed Radha Madan Mohan. Oh, Prabhupada, wherever he went, he would carry with him a photo of Radha Rasbihari. He would always keep a photo of Radha Rasbihari. In Bombay, he was always, wherever he went, he was always thinking how to build that temple for Radha Rasbihari. So in Delhi, he installed Radha Parthasarathi. So like this. I can't remember them all, but I don't even know them probably. So these were all forms of Krishna, Prabhupada's Krishna. He installed so many deities in so many places. When in London, the temple president, Shuddhadev Prabhu, he wrote to Prabhupada, and because we'd heard it said that Prabhupada had said that his favorite deities are Radha and Ishvara. But then other people, so many devotees would come through London. They were coming from America to India. Those days there were no direct flights. And they would stop off in London to have darshan of Radha and Ishvara and to take prasad. It was very famous, the prasad of Radha and Ishvara. So we used to hear that Prabhupada had said that his favorite deities were Radha and Ishvara. But the devotees from New Vrindavan, where Prabhupada also installed there, they say, no, Prabhupada said his favorite deities are Vrindavan Chandra. Radha Vrindavan Chandra. So Shuddhadev wrote to Prabhupada and he asked that, well, who are your favorite? I think it's Radha and Ishvara. Prabhupada, actually his secretary wrote back and said, yeah, Prabhupada said that Radha and Ishvara are his favorites. Said, I like that Krishna, he's such a nice young boy. Of course, if the town president, that would be Kirtananda Swami, in Vrindavan Chandra's New Vrindavan, he would have Prabhupada replied otherwise also. We can't say. Prabhupada loves them all. But especially he was very concerned with the service of Ras Bihari. Very concerned with that. He was always thinking of that, he said, because I promised Krishna, I'll build you a temple here. So he said, I couldn't give up on that promise. He said that. Even devotees were wondering why Prabhupada was fighting so much with that Mr. Naya. And why don't you just leave it, take some money and go somewhere else? But Prabhupada said, I promised Krishna, I'm going to build you a temple here. So he did that. So yeah, we can follow Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada's Krishna. Prabhupada said that my personal ecstasies, his purports, so this is his personal ecstasy. So these books, they're also non-different from Krishna, Prabhupada's books. Srila Prabhupada manifested Krishna in so many ways. He brought the name of Krishna, the deities of Krishna, Krishna Prasada, which is also a form of Krishna. But the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, all these books, they're also manifestations of Krishna. These are all Prabhupada's Krishna. Once some devotees who are traveling distributing books asked about having deities to travel with them. Prabhupada says, it's not necessary. You have my books, they are deities. So these books, they are Prabhupada's Krishna. And particularly through the distribution of these books and study of these books, then the world will become connected with Krishna. As we see again and again that by reading these books, people take to Krishna consciousness. Wherever I go, ask people, how did you first come in contact? How did you take to devotional service? By reading Prabhupada's books. How many of you came first from Prabhupada's books? See, so. I mean, I saw something about devotees on TV once, before I got any of the books, but I wasn't even interested. It just kind of slightly registered in my mind, just enough so that later when I got a book, I knew where to go. Because it was the name of a village which was close to my father's house, which I wasn't living in at the time. So, but it was reading, I saw that on TV, but it was only when I got the book that I thought I should go to the temple. When I read the book. So, Srila Prabhupada, he continues to connect everyone through these books, and not just giving the inspiration how to come to Krishna consciousness, but what is Krishna consciousness? We get Krishna through the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, which specifically he's given in his books. Srila Prabhupada said, I will never die, I will live forever in my books. So we all connect with Krishna through the books of Srila Prabhupada. There are many books, no doubt. But as Srila Prabhupada said, these are the law books for the next 10,000 years. Srila Prabhupada has presented Krishna in such a manner that if we study his books very sincerely, then we will understand how to understand Krishna. Especially Bhagavad Gita is the basis, and Prabhupada was always talking, day and night, literally day and night, Srila Prabhupada was talking Bhagavad Gita philosophy. And also we'll find descriptions, I just now spoke of Radha, Gopis in Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada gave all these topics. But he presented Krishna consciousness from the platform of Arjuna, the bewildered spirit soul. Arjuna was in the position of a bewildered spirit soul. And Srila Prabhupada presented Krishna consciousness in that way, that we can come from that platform to the platform of Krishna consciousness. So by studying Srila Prabhupada's books, then we can be protected and guided. And studying means not just by studying, we have to follow what's in the books also. And then gradually our knowledge of Krishna, love of Krishna, all of this will be gradually expand or develop. So nowadays there are many books apart from Prabhupada's books, which is good because that is kirtan. Books should be written, that should go on. Yeah. But we should be a little careful which books or actually we should take advice from our Guru. That's the proper system. That's the traditional system, is that you don't just pick up a book and read it, but one has to take permission from one's Guru what to read. Because I see, the other day I was in a shop in an ISKCON temple, and I saw the love songs of Vidyapati in the temple's bookshop, and then Ujjvala Nilamani, and very, very highly exalted topics which are not. You see, these books, they were written, like Ujjvala Nilamani, they were written on parchment. Now, they didn't have the printing press. It wasn't meant that you're not supposed to print like 50,000 copies of Ujjvala Nilamani, which describes the highly intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and distribute it everywhere. That's meant for highly exalted devotees. If anyone except a highly exalted devotee reads that, they're certain to misunderstand it. And instead of making advancement in Krishna consciousness, they'll go backward, actually. It's just like ghee is very nourishing, but if you can't digest it, then it'll make you more sick. You're already sick, and you become more sick. So, yeah, well, that's how Srila Prabhupada presented Krishna consciousness in a manner that was conducive for our spiritual advancement. What we need to hear, he spoke. I've heard it said, I joined, or I was allowed to join ISKCON in 1975, and in 1973 Srila Prabhupada was in England, and he was lecturing on the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day. So there are many verses on the topic that we are not the body, the difference between the soul and the body. So one devotee told me that a devotee had said to Prabhupada, that Prabhupada, every day you're lecturing that we're not the body. Maybe you go on to another topic, because we already understood it. Devotees are very neophytes sometimes. So Prabhupada said, you've not understood it, and therefore, I have to repeatedly say it. I also, my last physical darshan of Srila Prabhupada was in October 1977. And Srila Prabhupada, he could hardly talk. At least, we have to understand he's pure devotee, Mahabhagavat, but apparently he was in the situation where he was physically debilitated. They brought Prabhupada some strawberries, I believe it was. Prabhupada hadn't eaten anything for weeks. And Prabhupada started saying, Sharira Vidyajal, and then he started preaching that the senses are a network of paths leading to death. We should be very careful, control the tongue. Prabhupada in Vrindavan, been there for months with all his most intimate disciples. He was lecturing. He immediately felt enlivened to preach about this. So he preached what we needed to hear. So there are some thoughts. There are unlimited topics to speak about Krishna. Who is Krishna? That question could be answered in unlimited ways. But anyway, I guess having said so many things, I can say for myself, at least if I know anything about Krishna, it's by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, and at least for me, then Krishna means Prabhupada's Krishna. And there may be so many exalted devotees, but I'm not going to go here and there. I already have, by Prabhupada's mercy, I have connection to his lotus feet, so why should I go anywhere else? He is giving Krishna, so if I ever become sane, I'll accept it from him. I'll accept the gift of Krishna from Prabhupada. Yeah, so anyone like to question or comment? Yes, please.
What does the term rasabhas mean?
Rasabhas. What does the term rasabhas mean? Any question on the topic of the class? I'll answer that, but let's stick to the topic first. No other question. All right. Rasabhas. Abhas means a dim reflection. So rasabhas means it's not... Do you know what rasa means? You have an idea what rasa means? Yeah, well, it has different meanings, but it's in this connection, it generally means an emotional mood. That's... Well, it means, one thing is the sthai bhav, or the general mood of a devotee. So we say someone is in vatsalya rasa, means their identity is to be a parent of Krishna, or Sakya rasa. their mood is to be, their whole identity, their personality is as a friend of Krishna. But apart from that, there are various rasas or emotional flavors which are produced from interactions with Krishna in unlimited numbers of ways. Just like by hearing Krishna's flute, the sound of his flute, or by seeing his form, or by joking with Krishna, by talking with Krishna. So in various ways, these exchanges with Krishna, either direct or indirect, they produce various moods, various feelings, various emotional moods. And often at one time there may be more than one mood produced, or a mixing of moods. This is all analyzed in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Rupa Goswami. There may be a mixture of moods. Just like, as Balaram, he has a mixture of mood of being a friend of Krishna. He's the brother, but his mood is friendly. But he also thinks of himself as a servant of Krishna, and also in a protective, like a parental mood. And so there are the main rasas, and then there are uparasas, or secondary rasas. And chivalry, fear, ghastliness, laughter, these are all the various compassions, karunya ras, pathos. So these are all the... So some moods, they mix together very nicely. Just like, or hasya ras, or the mood of laughter. That goes very well with... It's a bit of a complex topic, but it's one that we should also try to understand. Srila Prabhupada gave us the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So the mood of laughter, that will go very well with most of the rasas. But some of them, if you mix, just like the mood of conjugal love with Krishna, that one is appreciating the beauty of Krishna, one wants to kiss Krishna, but then there is the ghastly rasa, in which one... So an example is given in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, where someone says that, I wanted to kiss Krishna, I'm just paraphrasing now, I can't remember exactly. I saw Krishna's beautiful form, and then I wanted to kiss Krishna, but then what is this body? It's just a stinking bag, and so it doesn't mix properly. When the mixture is not very nice, because if one actually has that feeling of wanting to kiss Krishna, then it won't be relating to this material. The two moods are quite different, so it doesn't mix well. It's just like if you put chili powder in milk. Chili powder, if you put it with dal, then it complements the flavor, if you don't put too much. But if you put it with milk, it just... Milk tastes nice, and chili powder also tastes nice. But if you mix them, they don't taste nice. You have to know how to mix the flavors properly, so that a good flavor is produced. That's the work of an expert cook. If you mix up the wrong flavors, then it tastes horrible, and it's very bad for your health also. So in the same way, people who don't know the proper rasas, then everything gets mixed up and it's a mess. And it's not pleasing to Krishna. Krishna is pleased by the various rasas if they're properly mixed. That's another reason we can talk about Vrindavan, Leela and all these things, but it's very subtle, all the different flavors, and if we don't understand it properly, we mix it all up, then we actually displease Krishna. That's stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita. What is that? Bhakti Siddhanta Viruta Arasa Bhas. Shunale na hoy Prabhur Chitte Ulash. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wasn't happy when he heard anyone say anything against the proper understanding of Krishna consciousness or rasabhas. They mixed up in a wrong way. It's just like someone brings you sweet rice, nice sweet rice, but it's got, instead of putting sugar, they put salt. So you bring it and say, oh, very nice, but it's not nice. You might think it's nice, but it's not nice. It doesn't please Krishna. Yeah, so I finished. Hare Krishna. Who is Krishna? That's that seminar finished. Oh yeah, so I was talking about books. Prabhupada told me to write books, so I'm writing books. So there are some books available about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Brahmacharya life and Rasikananda and various other topics. So if anyone would like to take any books, you're welcome to do so. You're also welcome to give a contribution for printing them. The CDs of lectures are there also? Yeah.
Yes.
So if anyone's enthusiastic, please take them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Radhe